The exotic pet trade is a global business. It involves removing indigenous species from their habitats and selling them illegally or on the black market. The pet trade is a very lucrative business that feeds the hobby of owning an exotic pet. However, there are many issues with global regulation and enforcement, which leads to diminished populations and the near extinction of some species. Many of the desired species have a fragile nature, meaning they are very sensitive to changes in conditions. Because they are not transported properly, many of them die in transit. The removal of many species has greatly affected populations. All 193 species of chameleons are now listed on the International Red List of Endangered Species. Only 8% of the 10,272 recognized reptile species are regulated. The Union for Conservation of Nature Red List assessed 45% of the world's reptile species and found that 1,390 are threatened by biological resource use, and 355 of those are internationally targeted by collectors. Of the 355 species, 149 are non-CITES listed species, meaning they are unregulated. The European Union reported that between 2004 and 2014, 2,788,747 live reptiles were imported. This does include non-CITES regulated species. However, many of the reported species are nationally protected within their country of origin. To resolve the issue with animal poaching and smuggling, it would take a great deal of time and effort to revise current legislation in the 193 countries that are a part of the United Nations. For example, in the United States, federal law would need to be put in place to stop the sale of many exotic species. Many states have different laws allowing exotic pets to be owned with a permit, some do not allow it at all, and some have laws in place restricting or regulating the sale or private ownership of exotic species. The pet trade offers a variety of options for people to choose from when it comes to choosing a pet. The only issue is where these animals originate. Many actions in the pet trade are illegal. The most common process is when they are removed from the wild and transported elsewhere to be sold and distributed. Although there is much legislation in place to protect these animals, the lack of enforcement of said legislation is the greatest issue. Many aspects of the pet trade are illegal. However, organizations and breeders have been able to take a controlled number of species from the wild to begin captive breeding programs to help rebuild the lost populations. Camouflage Creations is a licensed operation that breeds exclusively panther chameleons. Panther chameleons, like most chameleon species, are native to Madagascar. Madagascar has a more humid and warm climate, so owning a panther chameleon as a pet means you would have to replicate those conditions to the best of your ability to ensure the health of the chameleon. Many other reptile species have special needs, such as a basking spot of varying temperatures, vitamin and calcium supplements, and other special accommodations. One example of a special accommodation is that chameleons are an arboreal species, meaning they live exclusively in trees. They are also vertical climbers, meaning that they need many separate levels to climb. General pet care is an issue with exotic species due to their special needs. When getting a pet, I believe it is necessary that one should do deep research into their animal of choice to familiarize themselves with the animal's diet, habitat, native climate, behavior, and housing needs. Many exotic species will fall victim to miscare provided unintentionally by the owner because many people will buy a pet without knowing its needs. Pet stores also do poor jobs in maintaining their pets. There are many reports of reptiles suffering from metabolic bone disease, which is also known as Benny bones, due to calcium deficiency. I decided to lead an investigation of my local pet stores, which will remain unnamed. My findings were that one of the pet stores had well below the temperature needed to house their reptiles and amphibians. Two of the stores had a 5-inch tall terrarium to house a veiled chameleon, when chameleons require at least 3 times their body length to be the height of their enclosure. Both stores have had the chameleons for more than 3 months and still have them. Only one store properly provided for their pets they had for sale. When purchasing an exotic animal, I heavily recommend that it be received from an experienced breeder. Ordering from a breeder rather than buying from a pet store ensures the health of the animal. A breeder would have also handled the animal, so it will be familiar with physical and visual human interaction. These breeders have also allowed for many endangered species to rebuild a population in captivity. Another aspect of exotic species, such as reptiles, is that they can convey emotions and also become personable. A local pet store worker owned a panther chameleon. The chameleon got sick, and the worker nursed the chameleon back to health. The chameleon from then on had held a deep bond with his owner. The chameleon would not want to be held by anyone other than the worker and would move away from anyone else who approached him. My chameleon, when I walk up to the cage, will come to the front and begin waving his front paws at the cage door. When I open the door, he immediately grabs onto my hands and begins climbing away.